Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. We're here live with the Red Devil recap. Fenerbahce 1, Manchester United 1, in what was not the worst result, but not a good result, in my opinion. We needed a win. I wanted us to win, obviously and clearly, but the match was kind of very dull. We didn't do enough. We really didn't do enough. We needed to do more. We're going to break down the match. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to do live player ratings as well. Please smash the like button if you want to help the channel grow, because we greatly appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber and you want to join the channel and the community, then subscribe. We're always going live, and we welcome everybody in to share their thoughts and opinions. So get involved in the chat. You will be acknowledged. But back to the match at hand. You know, the lineup, let's talk about the lineup first. So the lineup definitely turned some heads. It was definitely, in my opinion, what I would say a strange lineup from Erik ten Hag. There was question marks over why Mazawari would start as the number 10 and not put somebody like a Christian Eriksen there, or even if you wanted to experiment a little bit, maybe you put a Joshua Zirkzee. I'm sure Erik ten Hag had his reasons to do it, albeit I probably don't agree with why he did them. And also at the same time, it didn't really work too much. I think the overall game plan probably worked for the first 45 minutes, but then we obviously gave up the goal that, by the way, was poor defending by Lindelof. You know, didn't even attempt to try and, you know, go for the ball, and basically let the Fenerbahce striker have a free header in what is our box. You know, some people said maybe Onana should have rushed out to get it. I think it's a difficult angle for the goalkeeper to come out and try and get that one, and really the center back should probably be covering that and doing a better job on it. But yeah, the whole Mazawari thing, I'm just going to start off by saying, let's never do that again. Let's never do that again. He wasn't great in that position. He didn't have a real impact in that position. He was a little bit lost, and he was a little bit too slow as well. We need more energy in that position. We need a little bit more creative outlook. He didn't really have any of those things. And I think, but overall, I kind of saw what Ten Hag was going for in terms of the shape of the team and what he was trying to do tactically compared to how Mourinho's team was set up and stuff like that. Obviously, you know, they wanted to use wingbacks as well. We kind of negated that whole thing with the shape. We were set up very defensively, which I think led to kind of the match being very dull and very boring. It was a very dull and boring match. But we were also very slow. And, you know, it's something that, again, I very much dislike. And I'm very much tired of it. I was excited last match when we played Brentford, because you seen we played a lot faster, we played a lot quicker, we played a lot more direct. That's how I want to see Manchester United really play in general. Like always, I want that to kind of be our identity and our style of play. But I think one of the problems is that we can't really get an identity and a real style of play, because Ten Hag is constantly changing things. And I think part of the reason why today was kind of dull and we were slow and stuff like that is because we changed the shape. We changed kind of the way we played. We went into a system that we don't really play, so it kind of just made you know, it kind of just seemed like the players didn't really know how to play in that formation, in that way. And they were a little bit confused, but, you know, it's nothing new. We haven't seen it before, regardless of the shape. I mean, they do this all the time. I don't understand why we have to pass the ball backwards so many times, why we have to constantly go to the goalkeeper so many times when it's not needed. It's not needed. I get it. You know, if it's, you know, if you're the center back, you're facing the wrong way, or there's pressure on you and you might lose the ball, you play the safe option. But there's so many times during the match where there's no pressure on us, and instead of making a forward pass, we literally turn around and pass it back to Onana, and then half the time Onana just launches the ball up to try and hit Højlund or Xerxes, and I think it's just a waste. I think it's a really bad style of play. So let me get to the chat real quick, and I'll continue my thoughts on the match. But I see Axe is in here, Lyle's in here, Line's in here, and if I pronounce your name wrong, I'm sorry. But Kaka Lete Rumba, that's a fantastic name. These guys in here. Kaka is saying Fenerbahce, Big FC, Dzeko, Fred, El Nasir, Tadic, Amrabat, Maximum, OMG, and Mourinho. Well, I take it then I'm going to say that you're a Fenerbahce fan. And if you are, what did you make of the match in terms of, I guess, from a Fenerbahce perspective? It's good that you're in here because we actually want to hear from you. But yeah, let us know what you actually thought of the match. And if you have any insight or input on the way Manchester United play, well, I'll take that from you as well. Lions is saying, can we all now stop with that? We need to sell Fernandes, please. No Fernandes equals no creativity. Well, definitely, I would say Lions, if not a lack of creativity, I think definitely we were missing a little bit of tempo, a little bit of energy, especially in that position. I mean, Christian Eriksen did move in there after, you know, we conceded the goal and we went 1-1 and we changed the formation and the system back to how we usually play. But it didn't really change much. We were still very, very slow. There was still that feeling and that look of like there's no real urgency to go and win this match. It almost seemed like we were kind of happy with the draw. It almost kind of seemed like we were just happy not to lose the match. The passing, and I agree with your Lions, the passing, we had no final pass, but I think the passing overall was absolutely abysmal today. It was abysmal. There was nobody on the pitch, barring Christian Eriksen made a couple nice, you know, passes, long balls. But even him, he had some very bad balls. The passing was an absolute disaster today. I mean, nobody passed the ball good. It was really, really bad. You know, 5-yard passes. Decision making wasn't good at all either. There was times where players took shots when they shouldn't have taken shots. They had to give the next pass because there was somebody running in front of them on the edge of the box, taking a random shot, skying it to the moon. I mean, just overall around play, you know, there's a player open on the wing. He's making a run down the line. They don't give him the ball. They stop. They hold the ball. They pass it to somebody in the center that's already marked and has a player on top of them. We pass that ball. We lose the ball. We give away possession. I think overall around today, listen, the result itself, it's not the result that we necessarily needed. It's not the result we wanted because we wanted to win. We needed 3 points. And I think we definitely needed 3 points. It's not the worst result, though, today because we got a point out of it instead of 0 because we could have lost, right? And that would be the ultimate worst. Now, I think depending on how it goes into the match against West Ham is going to be a little bit of a determining factor of how actually good or bad this kind of result will be. Because if we go against West Ham and we win, then this result will, you know, getting a draw will be a little bit less. I know in terms of like, you know, the table for the Europa League, it's not great. But in terms of just like performances, match to match to match, if you get a win, a draw, and a win, then, you know, you're looking a little bit better. If we go to West Ham and we get a draw or a loss, then it's not, you know, this match is going to look even worse because it's you know, it's not a great run of results in the past 3 matches. So, Lions is saying, Lyle is saying, sorry, I get you guys mixed up. 2 L's in my mind just goes. But yeah, Lyle is saying, my oh my. Was that a yawn fest indeed? I'm still yawning. What was that? The starting 11 was the dumbest move. Erik ten Hag doesn't know how to take risks, and he clearly has no plan B. Well, actually, I think that's a very good point by you, Lyle. And I don't know, you know, I think it would be a matter of semantics if we say he doesn't know how to take risks or he doesn't want to take risks. But clearly, he is a man that doesn't like to leave many things up to, I guess you would say, chance. You know, if I was going to put money on it, I would say Erik ten Hag is not a gambling man. He's not a bettor. He's probably never gambled in any form, you know, poker wise, money wise. He doesn't seem like that type of guy. He seems to really like statistics, data, you know, analysis. That's that type of stuff. He doesn't seem like one that goes and really takes a gamble. And I think we've seen many, many examples of this. He usually tries to play it very safe in a certain way. I think, you know, some people might argue, oh, well, he played Maz at 10. That's kind of a gamble. That's a risk. I mean, it's not really when you're essentially playing a back five and you're playing, you know, drop back, you know, and you're playing very defensive. You know, that's not really a risk. A risk would be, you know, really going for it, playing attacking, kind of playing in a similar way that we played against Brentford. I think when we played Brentford, we took a risk. We were playing sort of risky because it was a very open match. We had our chances, they had their chances. I mean, you know, if we went forward and we made a mistake, they had the opportunity to really counterattack us. And I think that's what sums up today's match, and that's why it is such a yawn fest, because we again, I think similar to last time, not against Brentford, but the match prior, we played when we played Villa. We didn't play to try and win, really. We played to not lose. We played in a manner of making sure that we don't really lose the match, and if we can win the match, then that's just a, you know, an added bonus. But the main objective was to not concede too many goals and not lose the match and try and, you know, nick a win, nick a goal. And you know, I never like that sort of approach, because it doesn't lead to the result that you want. It doesn't, you know, you don't usually typically get a win in that mindset. It's like kind of going into, you know, we speak about mindset from the players and Manchester United. It's kind of going into a test that you have to take, you know, and it's an important test for yourself. And you go into the test with the mindset of like, well, listen, you know, I'm not going to aim for 100. But I'll aim for like a 70. Because that's good enough, or it's decent enough. You know, I still pass. It's not the greatest thing, but it's good enough. And then, you know, when you do that, a lot of the times, like, if your ceiling is 70, you're already setting the bar way too low for yourself, because that means the highest that you're probably going to get is a 70. The lowest you're going to get is probably, I mean, it's probably going to go lower. So, you know, I don't know. You know, I don't know what the answer is anymore, really. I'm a little bit lost for ideas and words, really, because I feel like we come here every week and we kind of say the same thing over and over again. We're very slow. We don't play positively. We play very negatively. We make bad decisions. We make poor decisions. And yet again, we're inconsistent. And I did say this, you know, a few shows ago when it was about the international break. And I did say that this was a possibility, that this might happen under Erik ten Hag. You know, if they weren't going to sack him, you know, there was always the possibility that we can continue to be sort of inconsistent, where we play one good match, we play another match, we seem very lackluster, we seem very, you know, not into the game. We don't exactly get the results we need. So yeah, I mean, it just really wasn't great. It wasn't great in my opinion. You know, I'm not here ranting and I'm not outraged. Because I just, you know, it's kind of the same old story, and there's only so many times you can get so angry at it. I do feel, you know, disappointed, and I do feel sort of a little bit let down, because I wanted them to really go out there and sort of make a statement. But we just didn't get that type of setup and match today. Lions is saying, I love Garnacho, but oh my God, he needs to start looking for teammates and not just a goal. Well, he does have to work on that. Yes, he does. And I think sometimes, Lions, to be fair, I think sometimes he does do that, and I think he does a good mixture of it. He does take a lot of shots. And I think he does have to work on that. He is a young kid, and I think, you know, with him being a young kid, I think you can sort of get him to develop that into his game. But also, you know, this sort of thing tends to happen. I know what you mean, Lions, but what happens is in the matches, like a player like Garnacho, even a Marcus Rashford, these players, they get very fed up while they're on the pitch because nothing's really going on. Nothing's really happening. They're not seeing the ball enough. They're not, if they make certain runs or whatever, they're not being given the ball. After a certain period of time when you're on the pitch, you sort of just get fed up. And once you get the ball, it's very easy for your mindset to go, fuck everything. I've barely touched the ball in like 10 minutes. I've barely been able to really get on the ball and be able to do anything because, the way we're playing. And you kind of go into this tunnel vision mode of, I have the ball on my feet. Fuck it. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna dribble. I'm gonna take a shot from here because I haven't really been involved in the game, and you sort of maybe mentally you're itching to get a little bit more involved. You want to try and create a little bit something, try and have a couple shots on target. So I think that sort of thing happens as well. But I think that happens because of the overall play of the team. I think if Garnacho and even the likes of Rashford, I think if they were given a little bit more opportunities, and we gave them a little bit more chances with the runs that they were making and gave them the ball, I think, after a couple times of them either trying to take a shot on or something like that, I think they are more open to creating because they've done it already 2 or 3 times. So then they do try and, put the ball into the box or so. But I think when you play in the way we did today, where it was just very slow, it was very lethargic, it was very, it wasn't very positive, it was very boring. I think they get fed up and they go into this tunnel vision mode of I barely touched the ball, I need to do something with it, and they kind of start forcing things, which doesn't help the team at all. I mean, they shouldn't be doing it, but I think that's how I feel, because there's times where I played matches, and my team was playing like shit, basically. And I'm sitting there waiting to try and, I'm waiting for the ball to come to me so I could try and do something on the attack and help the team out. And you do get very fed up, and sometimes you start making, poor decisions or poor mistakes. But yeah, it's something that he does have to work on, for sure. Lyle saying Erik ten Hag had the perfect play here to have Ugarte, Eriksson in the midfield and Xerxes at 10 and Højlund up front. You could see Xerxes had no clue what to do, but if there was someone in front of him, easy. Well, I think for sure, I think it was a missed opportunity to play what people would argue is, maybe more of an actual 10 compared to Bruno Fernandes. I don't want to say actual 10, but somebody different than Bruno, because Bruno can be very erratic at times. Christian Eriksen is obviously supposed to be a lot more composed and look after the ball a little bit more. And I think there was an opportunity tonight to play somebody in that position and see how that would go, considering Bruno wasn't available for the match. And instead, he played our right back / left back at number 10. And I think that's pissed off a lot of people. And I'm not too happy about it either, because there's probably 3 or 4 different things I would have done, before putting Mazawari there. For one, I would have put Diallo there before I put Mazawari. I would have certainly put Eriksson there. And, the third probably option is kind of like what Lyle is saying, and put Xerxes there and play Højlund up there. I think Højlund didn't. Now, I'm not sure, and maybe Erik ten Hag has said something after the match, which we're going to cover. But, it seemed like Rasmus didn't start because he's managing Rasmus's minutes. Now, I don't know, what the actual case is with that, but that's my only logical thing as to why you wouldn't start Rasmus Højlund and you would start Xerxes, even if you're going to play Mazawari at a 10. Because clearly Rasmus Højlund is our best striker that we have, albeit we only have 2, but he is better than Xerxes. He offers way more than Xerxes, and he's way more impactful than Xerxes. I said last time, Xerxes, for me, he's in a developmental year. He is struggling he's not really doing much on the pitch, and he's doing a lot of mistakes. And I feel sort of bad for him because the more he is really playing these amount of minutes and playing in this way, the worse it looks, and the more people are going to get onto his back. So, to me, it seemed like, and I kind of called it because my father was also saying the same thing, like, he was kind of saying, like, Xerxes got nothing on Højlund, and I don't understand why he sat Rasmus to play Xerxes after Rasmus just had one of his best games, if not his best game in a Manchester United shirt. And my only logical thing that I could think of was, I was like, Dad, I was like, I think whether we like it or not, I was like, well, listen, Rasmus has picked up slight injuries here and there. He does end up missing a few matches here and there. So I was like, maybe he's managing his minutes. I was like, I think and I expect that Rasmus will probably come on for 30 minutes in the second half because he's going to start against West Ham at the weekend. So it seems like he's managing his minutes. So maybe that's what he did. Maybe that's what the decision was. But, when Xerxes in there, it really is just a struggle because he's struggling. He is struggling to find his feet, and I'm willing to give him, more time. And, I do understand that he needs to develop more and he needs to learn more. But it's just not good when he's there. He's not doing much to have a good impact on the game, and he's making a lot of mistakes too. So, that point is not, it's just not good enough, really. Axe is saying, to be honest, 2 points won against Porto and Fenerbahce away isn't bad. Most of you would have taken that after the Liverpool game. I mean, yeah, like, you're not wrong, Axe. You're not wrong, and I just, it's technically you're not wrong in terms of, those are two tough away matches, you would say. And to kind of get 2 draws out of it. The problem is really probably the Feyenoord match. The Feyenoord match, the 20 match, excuse me, I'm sorry. Is really the 20 match because we should have had 3 points from that. And we dropped points in that game and we only got 1 point instead of the 3, because right now we would technically be sitting on 5, which is obviously better than 3. And then when you look at it, it's like 3 points out of 3 matches. That's not great to say, really, you know what I mean? And you would obviously say, you would want Manchester United to get at least 2 wins, so that we could talk about them in a more positive light. 2 wins out of the 3 matches. If we had an L or we took a draw, that would probably be a very, very good position. So you're not, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but the circumstances do change, Axe, as well, depending on, results and points that we need. I mean, we have 3 points. I don't even know what position we're in, and I'm sure one of you can tell me. I don't even know what position we're in the table, but I'm assuming it's somewhere like 25th or something in the Europa League table. So, the next Europa League match is going to be even bigger, because now we definitely need to win. There's no more draws. And there's no more losses. We need to win because we need to, if we're going to have a chance, we need to start winning matches. We got to start climbing the table. So, but I'm sorry, I lost my spot in here. Resting players when we need to win now doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm just thick. Well, I'm sure there's probably a better answer than, there's probably one decision is better than the other. But we don't see, that's the thing. Like, we don't kind of get the, the medical analysis behind the scenes, really. So we don't really know, what is it with Højlund. I mean, there's on one hand, you could kind of say, well, I'd rather him get rested, because what happens if we lose Rasmus Højlund for 3 to 6 matches, and he's not available at all? But then, you also do have a point that, like, we need to win this match, and he was obviously clearly one of our best players last match, and he's clearly our best striker. So it's like part of you is like, I don't want him to be rested. I want him to be playing. But it's not the easiest decision for the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Um, so yeah. And then Lyle saying you wouldn't want to burn out Hoyland, and I think we did that last season. That's also part of the problem as well because he was really our only striker. And I think we sort of did burn him out quite a lot last season. Axe is saying, I believe that it isn't productive to be perfectionist now. Sir Alex Ferguson left more than 10 years ago. Let's adjust the standards and give them time. Well, I don't know. They got to show us more though. They need to listen. It's fine if you want to give them time and whatever. And it's fine, but you got to get the results. So a draw isn't it's not an execution. It's not a death penalty per se. But this is one of these matches where you kind of just say, and you move forward from it, and you don't really look back at it too much, and you just focus more on the next game because we're going to be playing West Ham, and then in terms of Premier League, we need to get to that win, and then we look at the next Europa League match and we try to go win from there. But they got to get the results. That's the most important thing. So it's for me, it's always results based. It's fine if you want to say give them time and you believe that they could develop, or if you're the opposite, but it's all about the results really, and the form and what you're getting in that aspect. Please read the schedule for Europe. Read me the next matches in Europe. I will pull them up in a little bit. Axe is saying a team could qualify with 9 points depending on the table. Well, technically we can because I think there is a lot of spots, but you just don't. I just don't want us to be put in a position where we are in a very bad position. We need to help ourselves out more. You see, we've suffered a suspension, a couple injuries to the midfield. We were light in the midfield as well. If it wasn't for Cass not being starting and starting Mazawari, we had no midfield substitutions. So we just my point is that we just have to. I want us to get there so that we put ourselves in a better position, just in case something bad does happen. Just in case we go into a match and a mistake that should never happens, we can have a little bit of a cushion. We don't really have a cushion right now. I kind of want to get a cushion, and that's why I'm really pushing for it. Grace is in here as well. Grace, how you doing? She said Rashford 0. Well, I had a feeling that was coming, Grace. And then Lions pushing back, talking about Delo wasn't much better. And Grace said Delo was brilliant today. Of course she did. Grace has a bias towards Delo, so it's okay. But she's allowed her biases. Lions saying Delo confused the shit out of me in the first half. At one point, he popped up as left winger. Well, I think there was a couple things with the team like that. Constant, there was many people out of position, and it wasn't even that. It was just people making really poor and weird choices on the pitch. Not giving to the balls to the players ahead of them. Trying to hit some weird diagonal pass when there was literally a player 15 yards in front of them wide open in the space, and it's a more simpler pass. Not trying to give the ball to the winger when there's nobody on him, and passing the ball into the center where it was highly congested and the player was already marked. There was a lot of, it seemed like there was a lot of confusion. I think that comes from the fact that we kind of switched the formation, the system, however you want to label it. So, and we're 21st, you're saying. Elias saying I would have taken a draw tonight and we would have won the last 2, but that just feels like another 2 points dropped. We have the next 2 UEL games at home. Yeah, so I think that's kind of how I feel too, Lyle, to be honest. Like, we talked about these matches before. We said it was going to be a tough match. The atmosphere, Fenerbahce, Jose Mourinho, and to be fair, we did say, weeks ago that, and that's why I'm not really too angry. I'm just a little bit disappointed because it was sort of in the way, once you watch the match unfold, start saying like, if we just did a little bit more of this, or we did a little bit more of that, we could have maybe won that match. And that's all it is. I'm not here raging, and I'm not saying Erik ten Hag out or anything like that. I'm not saying he necessarily needs to be sacked because of tonight or whatever it is like that. I'm sure there's people out there, most of them are ten Hag outers. And then there's ten Hag in his, shouting the opposite way. I'm kind of just in the middle because, again, we have to take, for me, where we are, we have to take it step by step. So, match by match is what I really mean. 8 teams go through, 9th to 24th go into playoffs, and that's kind of what I'm saying as well. So, that's kind of what I wanted to get into as well. Like, we need to be, I mean, not to go in, but to be in a good position, we need to be in one of the 8 teams. We don't want to play an extra match. We don't want to leave it to a playoff match, to a one-off match if we're going to go through to the next round. And this is what I'm saying. Like, we need to start moving because I want Manchester United to be at least, in the very least, the top 8. At least. Because we don't need to play that extra match. We don't need to leave it up to a one-off match. And then maybe we get knocked out and we don't even advance. So, in reality, we really do need to start moving a little bit more, though. We need to, like, get these results. Technically, yes. Can we make it past that if we're in, 9 through 24th? Sure. But it's not ideal. And I would like Manchester United to start helping themselves a little bit more. I don't want the club to be in a position where we are, clutching at straws, where we're like just hanging on by threads. Because football is a game where you never know what's going to happen. And we could go into a playoff match. We could go up against a team that we think, oh, yeah, we'll beat them and we'll go through. And then all of a sudden we suffer 2 shitty goals. We make a mistake or something. We get knocked out. Like, we don't need to put ourselves in that position. But we need to get the results out of it. We do. Real quick, if you guys could smash the like button for me because it helps the channel grow. So if you can do that, I greatly appreciate it. We're going to do the live player ratings in a moment. So if you want, get involved. Get involved in the chat. Put what you thought. No, it's not lost. It's not lost for sure, Lyle. It's not lost for sure. I mean, and like I said, it would be nice to avoid the playoffs, but if it happens, it is what it is. No, it's a personal thing for me. I just want that I want to see that from United. I want to see us put us in better positions. But I think it also helps just in case, a little bit of a cushion can never hurt. Just in case something bad or something you didn't imagine could happens. Delo had an easy cutback for a 2-1. Well, listen, I mean, the chance with, who was that, Rashford putting or Rasmus cutting the ball back in to Rashford. I didn't even see that play properly because what I watched it on, they for whatever reason didn't show the replay. So I don't know how we didn't score from there because to me it was a tap-in. I don't know if Rashford miskicked it. I don't know if he never got contact onto the ball. I just saw the ball fly away. So, I'm actually saying stats. I'll try to pull up some stats. Lions is saying, honestly, no, Europe might be a blessing and just focus on the league. Well, there's always an argument for that. There's always an argument. People always make that type of argument. It's kind of a hit or miss, really, because, sometimes when you go out of Europe, it kind of deflates the players and it kind of deflates the season. But it could help in terms of playing less games. So maybe you would say we would stay injury free and be a little bit more fresh for the league. But listen, we are in this competition and I want Manchester United to go as far as possible in this competition. I actually want them to win the competition. I would love it for them to win the competition. Albeit the way we're playing, it doesn't seem very likely we're going to do that. But, we are in here. I don't want us to get knocked out so that we could, stay or be more fresh for the Premier League. There's the other teams that are better than us in the Premier League. I mean, look at Aston Villa. They are unbeaten. They're playing in the Champions League and they're playing very well in the Premier League. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? Why do we need to not go into Europe to play better in the league? So for me, I don't really feel like that Line's saying more time on the training pitch. Well, yeah, okay, as well too, but I don't know. We shouldn't be in this situation though, Lion. Like I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. Like I don't think like you're saying something that's totally like pie in the sky or whatever. But it just doesn't sit right with me that why does Manchester United have to be in that circumstance? Why do we have to be the club that let's exit Europe because it'll be better for us so we have more time on the training pitch? I mean, these things, there's certain things that should already be figured out, should already be fixed. We're well underway into the season already. Why are we the ones that are behind? Why are we the ones that, haven't figured certain things out? That's really more the frustrating thing for me. So Axe is saying we have already lost top 8 at this point, most probably. It was evident after the match against Porto. Well, maybe so because of the way we're playing, but I don't know, mathematically maybe not. And like I said, football is something that you never know what could happen. I mean, what if we win the next 3 Europa League matches and we get 9 points? I'm not saying it's going to necessarily happen, but what if we do it? I think it would certainly put us back into that category. And then obviously pending other results. So, and Lyle is saying also the league's so damn tough for us. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we are just, we are struggling pretty much everywhere right now. And I still don't know how Eric Ten Hag is necessarily going to pull us through this, because we're in the storm. The boat is still floating. It's still up, but it's looking like it could potentially take on water at any minute. It could potentially suffer a lot of damage that may be detrimental to the ship's integrity at any minute. But it's still braving the seas and it's still, crashing with the waves. And it could really go in either way. We could somehow survive that storm through the skin of our teeth, and then, after the storm comes the sunshine. The clouds part ways and we have sun, or we could end up not making it out of that storm. The ship gets severely damaged and starts to sink, and then it's pretty much over. So let me try and pull up some things for you guys. I'm gonna do the player ratings towards the end. But let me try and get some quotes. Let me try and get some statistics for Axe, because he loves statistics, and anybody else that loves statistics. There's a couple comments from Jose Mourinho as well, and stuff like that. So let me just let me try and pull it up in like a good order. And Anthony got injured as well. We didn't even speak on that, which is just quite unfortunate for him. I mean, maybe some people are happy because they don't want to see him, but I'll never celebrate a player necessarily getting injured just because I don't want to. I don't think they should be on the team, or I don't want to really see them play. But yeah, that kind of sucked for him. He came on, he was going to be given an opportunity, decent minutes. He lasted 14 minutes, and we don't even know. I mean, it was bad. They stretchered him off, so I assume he's going to be out for a good amount of time. Andre Onana speaking, saying it was very disappointing for me, for the club. We have an obligation to win at Manchester United, which we didn't do. We take our responsibility and move on. Well, I wish more players had that attitude, Onana, I would say. And maybe they do, but they don't. Looks can be deceiving, but it doesn't show that way on the pitch. In the way you guys play, in the sort of body language, in the sort of like, if you're that desperate to win the match, why are you moving so slow? Why are you playing so negative? Why are you turning around and constantly kicking the ball back to Andre Onana when there's no need for it? Why is there such a slow urgency to try and go win the match? Why is there like such a lack of creativity? Why is there such a lack of attacking intent and directness and confidence? Because it it confuses me. I look at that and the players, I look there and I'm like, I can't tell if they just are confused and they don't know what to do, or some of them just don't like want to go really win this match. Like it confuses me. I can't really put my finger on it. I don't know which one it is. I don't know what it is. Like, are they confused and they just don't know what they're doing, which leads to indecision, which makes them take very long on the ball and just making, the safe option, or are they just like not so interested? I can't really tell. Paul Scholes saying the 2 results, you have to say Porto away, tough place to go to. Good draw. Fenerbahce away, good draw. It's the home game that was really disappointing. The 20 game, you should be beating those teams. And I think that's what we kind of said, pretty much what Scholes said as well. And I think, circumstantial wise, if we won that match, we would be probably, we would be okay with that. We would be okay kind of with, tying Porto and tying Fenerbahce, because you said they're going to be tough matches. Especially like the Fenerbahce with the hostile atmosphere and Jose Mourinho and all that stuff, of course. But the fact that we didn't win the first match kind of put more pressure and added pressure onto the Porto and the Fenerbahce match. And I would say on the Porto match, we played well enough to win that game anyway. So, like, yeah, before the match, you might say one thing, but while the match is going on, and I would specifically say this more to the Porto match, we blew that game in a way. I mean, I know we ended up tying it, but we were up 2 goals. We had the duty to hold that game properly, and we didn't. And we kind of did a similar thing today. Like, we were up a goal. And shortly after halftime, once again, we've given up a goal and we've let the team back into the game, and then we didn't create enough going forward. So, it is not the most encouraging thing. I'm just pulling you guys up side by side so I can see what you're saying as well. Lion saying, if only our striker can't handle the accumulation of games, then you need to think. If our only striker can't handle the accumulation of games, then you need to think. Well, I don't know, if it's... I mean, I don't know. It is not a good thing to have, right? Like, I do agree. Like, if your only striker, can't really be playing majority of the minutes, majority of the games, I mean, it certainly is a problem. But that's for really the club to figure out. I mean, we spent this money on Xerxes. And whatever they know about Rasmus and his body, and how his body deals with injuries and the workload that his body can handle and stuff like that, that's stuff that we're not privy to. We don't have that information. We don't do sports science and analytics that we can really break that down and look at stuff and make an informed decision about it. But that's for the club. I mean, if that's something that was known, then that's something that should be taken care of. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, there is still incompetency going on in the club. We shouldn't really be in positions like this. We shouldn't be in a position where where we've been without a left back for who knows how long. We shouldn't be in a position where we have one good striker, the other striker is a developmental striker, but now our best striker has to have his minutes managed, and so therefore he can't start a match, and he has to come in as a sub 30 minutes in. I mean, those things are not helping us. Like, as little as they may be, they don't help us. And you start having all these little things all over the place, then you end up, it's like it's like killing Goliath with like 1,000 small cuts. Like, you don't have to hit him with one giant big blow. Cut him 10,000 times. And then it's like one giant cut, and he bleeds out. So, Elias saying everybody 5 to 5.5 except Ugarte. Well, I will say this, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because I kind of got a little bit carried away in more about the match than the individual, which I'm fine with anyway. But Ugarte, he was really, really good today. He showed his qualities. I told you, I said this, before he even kicked the ball for Manchester United. He will be the pit bull in that midfield for us. He is a little pit bull. I liken him to kind of Lisandro, but of course of the midfield and not the defense. And for me, he is that. And I think, I think over time he will get better and better. And obviously, once he gets more game time and gets more adjusted and stuff like that. But yeah, he was very very good. And Onana as well. I mean, that double save that Onana made. For all the people that complain about we should have never gotten rid of David De Gea. He's nowhere as near as good as David De Gea in terms of shot stopping. I would say that those two stops today, that double save, instantaneously was very De Gea-esque, in my opinion. And Ugarte stopped us conceding a goal, and Onana stopped us conceding a goal from that double save as well. So for them, those two actions was just as good as scoring a goal because it helped us. I mean, you're talking about those two plays that could be Fenerbahce, up 2-1, up 3-1 if they scored the goal they already scored. Now maybe they don't because they scored another goal, but we didn't create enough to, we scored that one goal and we kind of just laid back. So Calvin Ellis. You got to be kidding me. He's rubbish. Nah, he wasn't rubbish, Grace. He wasn't rubbish. He was very good today. He was very good today. I mean, the team wasn't great, so I don't think it's like such a high standard, but I think he was probably one of the best players on the pitch for us today. Which in the overall picture, to be fair, it doesn't say much because I think a lot of our players, like Lyle said, everybody was kind of like a 5.5 or lower. So it's not like the standard was so high, but I think he was very, very good. There are some things about his game that I do like. I like how he does get stuck in. I like how he puts a foot in on players. And I like how he's very involved, and he does kind of put his body on the line as well. So Ray has just joined us as well. So everybody give a shout out to Ray. Glad you could join us. Back to the quotes though. Paul Scholes saying they're in a terrible position in that Europa League. They've got to start winning games soon, and that's basically what I said. Like, the position's not good. And we need to start winning games. So Ten Hag saying from 2 tough away games, Porto and Fenerbahce, we take 2 points. This is a result. So I think it's a little bit of a mixture. I think the feeling of today's match is almost sort of like a draw. I think kind of like the outcome of the match, like we drew the match. I kind of think like how to feel about the match is almost very neutral. It's almost like a draw. Like I don't think you could be overly angry, but there's nothing to really be overly happy about. I think it's today is just a very neutral kind of thing. I don't think you can really be shouting and screaming and punching walls, but you can't also be jumping up and down and saying that was a great performance and I'm happy about the result. I think it's just a very meh type of feeling and result from today, because I think there's you kind of seen both sides. I mean, Scholes saying that. And Ten Hag saying that, and I think there's valid arguments for both. Like, we are not in a great position. We need to start winning matches soon. To play away at Porto and Fenerbahce, they're not easy games. And we didn't lose the matches. We got a point. But we still need more at the end of the day. Anthony was seen leaving the stadium on crutches, so it looks like he's going to be out for quite some time. Which I don't know what that's going to do to his maybe possible loan out. We don't know how long he's necessarily going to be out for. I guess we're going to have to wait for those updates and see. Jose Mourinho saying, I think the best thing I have to do when I leave Fenerbahce is go to a club that doesn't play in Europe. So if any club in England at the bottom of the table needs a manager. Does anybody understand that quote? Or am I just like... He said, I think the best thing I have to do when I leave Fenerbahce is go to a club that doesn't play in Europe. Is he saying because the European competition is shit? Because he got his red card or the officiating or something like that? I think that's what he's saying. So he says, so if any club in England at the bottom of the table needs a manager. Well, Jose, I don't know if you're trying to be a little tongue-in-cheek, but listen, if we don't get the results in the Premier League, we may be down there at the bottom somewhere. So, you know, I don't know if you want to say you want to come back to us, but he's talking about the European refs and stuff. Yeah. I had to read that twice because I just kind of read it and it didn't click with me right away, but then I got it. And Jose also saying, I know English media will say Manchester United didn't play well, didn't have shots. Why? Because the opponent was very good. I think my players deserve the credit for that performance. Well, you know, I'm not English and I'm not part of the media, but I would say that knowing the players we have and seeing that, you know, performance like we put against Brentford, I think we could have done much more. You know, I don't think, you know, Fenerbahce is not a bad team, and I think you set up the team very structured and in a very good way. And you definitely made it difficult. But I think what we showed today, you know, wasn't just because of your team put in a good performance. I think your team might have put in a good performance, Jose, but I think our team didn't put in a very good performance in terms of attacking display. We did nowhere near enough. Nowhere near enough. And there was so many small things on the pitch that we could have done. You know, once again, the constant going backwards when there's no need to. There's no need to. Like, listen, it's one thing if you go forward and you're getting dispossessed and you're losing the ball because they're stepping in front and they're stealing the ball, you know? Kudos to the opposing team. But we're so slow, and we don't play positive a lot for a majority of the match. So, you know, as much as you might want to take credit for that, Jose, I think, you know, we've certainly played our own hand into that. You know, it's a constant thing from Manchester United. We don't help ourselves in a lot of different aspects. So Ten Hag saying Ahmad, he's doing well, but I must also say reward the performances of Anthony in training. He is a threat almost every training, so I felt in that moment to bring him to decide the game. Well, he's out now, so, you know, that kind of sucks for him. And maybe Diallo will get more chances out of this. Ten Hag saying away from home in Europe, hectic ambience. To start with 4 attackers is too much. Mazawari is very capable to play in that position. I made him a fullback when he played number 10. He was helping midfield, supporting Xerxes and pressing, a big part of a goal for Eriksson. So yeah, obviously he's going to allow that up, but I don't think it worked very well in terms of helping in the attacking display and the attacking output. I don't think it was good. I don't really want to ever see that again. And again, I still would have preferred if we, you know, had a Christian Eriksen there. You know, and you know what? That, you know how we talked about, you know, Erik Ten Hag doesn't know how to take risks. And I told you, and I said I don't think he doesn't necessarily know how to take risks. I think he's a man that he doesn't want to take risks. He doesn't like risks. He doesn't like a good gamble, you know? And that's a good, it's actually, I think, you know, that I will almost say I'm 100% confident on, because you can just think about Fergie and think about all the gambles. And you know, Fergie was a gambler anyway. He bet on horses. He took chances. You know what I mean? He did it because he would take a gamble. And those times where, you know, there was a lot of times it didn't work out for him and it backfired, but there was a lot of times that Fergie took a shot in the dark, a gamble, you know, did something very, very risky, and it ended up paying off. When you look at Ten Hag, he's literally the opposite of that. He literally does the opposite. And he pretty much says it right there. You know, if you read in between the line, and he says away from home in Europe, hectic ambience, to start with 4 attackers is too much. I mean, that's the risky part right there. Like, you start with 4 attackers. Go for the win. But he considers that too much of a risk. And he obviously clearly doesn't want to take it. So, yeah, I think Ten Hag is one of those guys. Like, he is not a risk taker. And I don't think you're going to see it much. And I don't think that's going to change because I think that's been part of him probably for most of his life, if not his whole life. So, if anybody expects or wants, to see some type of a sort of, a risk or to really go for it and, kind of, I don't think you're going to see that. I don't think you're going to see that from Erik ten Hag. I really don't. Ray saying we have to solve the problem, we don't score enough. Well, Ray, I think that goes in hand with what I'm just talking about right now, is that Erik ten Hag seems like a man of not too much risk. If you don't take too much, if you don't take a certain amount of risk, you have to risk to try and score. If we constantly play safe, if we constantly play, the safe route, the safe way, how are we going to score? We're not taking risks. We're not taking any risks. And then, that might lead the hand into why we pass the ball backwards so much. Because I don't believe it's necessarily from the players in terms of that, like, the players are afraid. So they constantly pass the ball backwards or something like that. I think, if it wasn't something that the manager / the coaching staff want from the players, they would have cut it out a long time ago. They would have told them, don't pass the fucking ball backwards when you're in that position. Don't pass it backwards. They would have cut that out a long time ago. They are clearly told and they clearly train in a way where it is okay for them to have the ball on the midfield line, turn around and pass it back to Onana just for the fucking sake of passing it to Onana because it's the safest option. We won't lose the ball. It's in Onana's feet, and then we could kind of do whatever we want from there. He could launch it long. Somebody could come short. He could give it to them, and we start again. But I don't like that. I don't think it works very well. I don't think it's a good tactic or a good instruction. I don't like it. So, sure, Mount, Anthony, completely done with these players. I mean, yeah. Mount's just been bad. Anthony, I think his time is coming to an end anyway. And I think Shaw will probably, if Ineos are competent enough and the club do what they keep saying that they're trying to do and supposed to do, then I think Shaw will probably be moved on as well. But Gray's saying I wouldn't be giving any more money to Erik ten Hag. Why give him another 50 million for a winger when he don't even use Ahmad? Well, I mean, I think the transfers that we did this season, I mean, as far as, I don't know, it's a little bit hard to read into, but supposedly it's a committee now, or a type of a committee. Like, it's not just Erik ten Hag. I think under or prior to Ineos, it was pretty much solely on ten Hag. And ten Hag was basically making a list of players and giving it to the club. And Jose has said something like that in the past, and that's kind of how we're operating. I think, right now it's like in cohesion with Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox, and maybe, a Barada as well, with Ten Hag. So, I don't know if you necessarily have to give it to Erik ten Hag, but Ineos is supposed to be, they're supposed to be signing players that are not specifically just tailor-made for Erik ten Hag, that they are players that are going to be used by other managers if we ever have to make a change. That's what they said. That's what they said that they were going to aim for. I think you can certainly make an argument with the players that we got in terms of Ugarte, Dalit, Mazawari, maybe Xerxes, albeit, I don't know, Xerxes is a little bit slow and you kind of have to use him in a special way. But I think, and Lenioro, I think at least 4 out of the 5, and unless you want to make an argument for the 5th, I think most managers, or any manager really, I think they'll use those players if they were to come in. Other than that, so Mourinho to North Korea confirmed. Imagine that. That would be absolutely hilarious. It would probably fit right in though with the attitude of Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un and Mourinho together. Oh hell no. Yeah, that might be the end of the world, to be honest. So we don't need that. Let's keep that away. Nothing has been fixed. And yeah, that's kind of what I pointed out before, Ray. Like, there's a lot of smaller issues compared to the overall larger issues, and a lot of these smaller issues have been around from, some have been from the first season, some of them have been from the second season, and they are in the third season, and they still have not been really fixed, and they're still lingering. And why? Why? That has to be one of the things when you're looking into a performance review of the overall club, I guess, in terms of the manager, the coaching staff, and anybody else that's involved. Why have these things not been properly addressed? Why are these things still going on? Why have they not been dealt with? Why have they not been fixed or sorted out? Like, they are important. We have to, you can't just leave them around to be a problem and hope that they go away. It's like having a toothache. And sometimes it goes away after a little bit or a day. But it's like having that toothache like 5-6 days later, and it's still the same, or in fact it's getting a little bit worse, and you keep thinking in your head, oh, it'll go away eventually. Like, clearly it's not going to. Clearly you have to go deal with it. You got to go to the dentist and get it checked out and figure out why or what is causing the pain. So yeah, Ray's saying we keep changing formation. We never have consistency into the game. Well, I think that's one of the problems as well. One of the problems is that, like, and I said this after the Brentford game when we did the Red Devil recap for Brentford. I said I wanted him to play in the way we played. Now, he kept Rashford on the right, he kept Garnacho on the left, which I was happy about when I saw the lineup. Because I kind of want that to continue, and I think that's our best, thing. But then we go into this match, and again, like, we've changed our whole shape and the way we at least try to play because we had to negate. We adjusted to Fenerbahce and Jose Mourinho. We didn't go there with, like, our philosophy, our style of play our game, and have them adapt to us. And we constantly do that. So, there's one thing that Ten Hag, like, I would like somebody to ask Ten Hag in the media, albeit they'll probably never ask him, but, I want to ask him, like, you talk a lot about routines. You talk a lot about, consistency and getting, like, that balance. And he goes from, like, at one point not really rotating a lot to now he's excessively changing a lot of things. And I would ask him and be like, well, you've spoken a lot in the past about routines and making sure that the players get the good rhythms together, and that leads to consistency. So you need them to play together as much as possible, and basically in the same type of system and same formation constantly, so they get that understanding. But you've been changing it quite a lot around, and so don't you believe that is quite harmful to the pretty much the basic fundamental philosophy that you initially started with? Because I would like to hear his answer on it, because I think it is kind of messing with the team's balance. And I think we kind of seen that today in the way we played, So, Axe saying, sincerely, now team chemistry, not creativity and innovation gets you goals. I think it's a combination of everything, Axe. I think it's not only team chemistry, but you need creativity and you need innovation to get you goals. I think you need the whole lot. You need the whole package. Lyle has left us. So thank you for stopping by, Lyle. I know it's late, and I'm gonna try and not let this run on too long. So take care and thank you for dropping by. Sandy is in here. Good evening, bro. I told you guys that we are not going anywhere with with Ten Hag, and Sandy from Zambia. Well, you did say that. And I did say that as well, quite a few shows ago, that it is a possibility. And I did kind of say that, one of the things that I kind of expect to happen is that, if Erik Ten Hag wasn't going to be sacked during that international break, was that, he might come back. We might see a couple positive results here and there. But I think it's going to be fairly largely inconsistent. I don't see where we're going to go on a good run of games. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like a really, really good stretch. I think the most likely thing that's going to happen is it's going to be, 1 or 2 good games here. We're going to take a step or two back in a match there too. Then maybe we come back and we do another match or so in a good spot. because that's what we are. We are a fairly inconsistent team in many different aspects. So, Axe is saying he is building team chemistry with all those changes. Well, I don't know. I don't know if you necessarily do it like that. But the reason why I'm saying that, Axe, is because he's kind of, that kind of flies into the face of what he said. You know, there was a point and period in time where Erik ten Hag constantly played the same players, didn't really rotate, didn't really use subs too much, and he did that for a large, consistent period of time. And his answers would always be because he needs the rhythm and the patterns and the routines from the players playing together and playing in the same positions and playing in that same system. So you can't negate one aspect to build another aspect. Like, why do that, and then you're going to build team chemistry, but then you're going to hurt the patterns, the routines, which is basically his fundamental philosophy. So I don't really, I'm just confused. I don't really know what he's going for. I don't, maybe he doesn't know what he's going for, but I'm really lost. Richard's here. Richard, I'm so glad that you're here. I am feeling better. I'm feeling better. Albeit I would have felt much better if we could have got the win. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better. Yesterday I was a little bit drained. I was a little bit just sluggish, very sluggish, and I didn't feel great. So yeah, I just figured I'd take it off. But I'm glad you're here, Richard. And basically, pretty much, we were just talking about, I mean, pretty much the match, but we were kind of talking about, Richard, what do you think about the, because we were basically talking about, he's sort of chopping and changing a lot. He's changing the formations quite a lot. Axe believes it's to build chemistry in a form of way. I'm saying that, like, it flies in the face of what he originally used to say, where he wouldn't change too many things because he believed in patterns and rhythm and all that stuff, and kind of building the momentum in that way. So it's confusing for me because I can't really put my finger on it somewhere. But yeah, give us your thoughts. Onana, I definitely agree with you. He was great. That double save, was as good as scoring a goal. I'll say it again. It was just as good as scoring a goal. Because that was literally a goal, and I don't know how he saved it. So, De Gea that was. Let me see if I could get anything else from the match. We can go to Statman Dave and get stats if you guys want those. Because I'm sure he's put out a couple stats, and otherwise I don't really know where to get stats from other than Statman Dave. So we will go to Statman Dave. And he's put out quite a numerous amount of stats. So let's run through them. So here's the stat. I think this was before the match. This was before the match started, but we'll go through the stats. Mazawari has played 9 minutes in his professional career, an attacking midfielder, coming on as a sub for Ajax in their 3-2 win over Juve in the Champions League quarterfinal in 2019. Ahmad has played 1,069 minutes, playing attacking midfield while on loan at Sunderland, scoring 4 goals. And he proceeded to write interesting decisions. So, statistically, again, playing Maz there, if you want to go down the statistic route, statistically, putting Maz there over Ahmad makes no sense. So, Ten Hag, you gotta give us a different reason for why you did that. Christian Eriksen has been directly involved in 9 goals in his last 10 matches for club and country. That's 5 goals, 4 assists. Yeah, he has actually been very good this season. And he's been, he's kind of had a very good resurgence in terms of, last season it did seem like he was kind of down and out, and he was, out of it. And it seemed like he was on a very heavy decline. He's kind of helped himself, very, very well this season. He's been very involved, goals and assist wise, for club and country. So he's been actually a very pivotal player so far, and he's been very important. So, yeah. Manuel Ugarte's first half for Fenerbahce by the numbers. He had 100% successful take-ons and 86% pass accuracy. He had 32 total touches, 4 tackles, 1 clearance off the line. Absolutely key to the goal. I mean, he did have that regardless of the rest of the performance, he had that goal line clearance, which literally, again, just as good as scoring a goal, because that was a goal, and if it wasn't for him, we would have conceded the goal. So here we had Fenerbahce had more shots, 7, more big chances, 2, and more XG, 0.70, compared to United's 0.29 in the first half against Manchester United. Unfortunately for them, Man United have Andre Onana in that, which that's what I'm saying. I mean, they did have the more dangerous chances. We were lucky that Onana made that fantastic double save, and that Ugarte also made that clearance. Manchester United are winless in Europe this season, despite having taken the lead in all 3 of their matches. Across all competitions, they have a 31% win rate this term. And I mean, that's not good. It's just not good, Like, you can say, it's okay. We said before the Fenerbahce match, we would have taken a draw. Porto, tough match away. You would have, it's decent to get a draw. But then when you put together the overall picture overshadows that. I mean, winless in Europe. You've taken the lead in all 3 of the matches, which means that you were in the pole position to win, and you've gone backwards inside of the match, and then not gone on to push to win. So, and we have a 31% win rate. That's just bad. It's just very, very bad. And then here, Ahmad has averaged 2.4 key passes and 2.3 take-ons in games he started this season. Mazawari played 95 minutes, which no, he did not. Stabman Dave, he didn't play 95 minutes at number 10 today. So that's actually wrong. I don't know why he did that, but Mazawari played at number 10 today and failed to create a chance or complete the take on. He didn't play 95 minutes at 10 though, so I will correct him on that, but I get the gist and the point of what he's saying. Christian Eriksen's game by numbers: 82% pass accuracy, 68 total touches, 6 passes into the final third, 4 chances created, 4 ball recoveries, 1 crosses, 1 goal. So Eriksen definitely probably the most creative outlet we had today. And that's not saying much because we didn't create much. And the last thing he put up was Manchester United have won just 1 of their last 11 games in Europe. They currently sit in 21st in the Europa League and 12th in the Premier League. And he wrote disaster. So, the statistics don't help really much anyway. I don't know where to find like overall team statistics compared to each other. So I don't know where to really look at that. If you have somebody online that does those sort of things, and we could kind of look at the team statistics in that aspect, we could do that if you want. But Mazawar did not work as a 10, definitely not. This formation was changed because Bruno had gotten a red. I mean, but that's kind of ridiculous, Axe. If that is the case, that's ridiculous, because we have Christian Eriksen. Why can't Christian Eriksen play there? Why do you have to change the whole formation because Bruno got a red card and wasn't available? What? Christian Eriksen can't play where Bruno plays? Can I post him on the screen? I'll try to do it next time, Axe, because I don't. Well, no, I'll have to figure out how to add like a live browser into the show, because I actually don't know how to do that. And then the way I usually add them into the show, I take a bunch of screenshots, and that would take a lot of time. So I will figure that out going forward. I'll maybe get like a little pop up on the browser and share it on the screen, so you could just see it pop up on the screen. Richard saying I would have played Maz in the midfield and played Eriksson as the 10. I mean, but yeah, maybe that even more so that maybe that would have made even more sense than to play Maz as the 10. I mean, I think even that option is better than what we actually did. I you know, I would be more okay with if you put Eriksson at the 10 and then played Maz as one of the CMs and play Ugarte. Like that to me would make more sense. It's a very good point, Richard. I didn't even think of it that way, but Ray saying why play Maz 10 position looked like he was lost. I mean, it's a question that nobody really knows. I mean, Ten Hag didn't really give what I would say is a good answer. He said that he is the one that made Mazawari a right back or a left back. He said he played previously somewhere in the midfield, and he said that he could play there. And so I don't know what the actual reason was, but he clearly didn't give us the real reason for why. Why we let Amrabat go when we could have got rid of him when we could have got him at a decent price. It beats me. Beats me. I think he was, decent enough option, especially the fact that we sold McTominay. I don't know. I think we could have held on to him. They clearly didn't want him for whatever reason, and not for nothing. And while I don't think he's like a bad player, and I think he was very instrumental in the FA Cup match and all that type of stuff, and he played very well at the end of the season. And then while Fenerbahce is not per se a bad team, it's not like he was wanted. He's in the Turkish league at Fenerbahce. I don't think there was any real other per se what you would say big clubs. It's not like he's gone to like a top 4 club and any other of the top 5 leagues in the country. So Ray's saying we play like we are happy with the draw. That's what I said in the beginning of the show. It doesn't, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they were playing because I don't know if they were playing in a manner of like they were confused because they didn't know how to play in the new shape, or coupled with the fact that Mourinho and Fenerbahce didn't make it easy to try and chances, which I always say. And I said that last match when we played Brentford, Thomas Frank kind of played into the hands of Manchester United. When you give a space and when you make the game open and when you make it sort of an end-to-end type of thing, it plays to our advantage because we can play very good like that. And we love that. We get excited when there's a ton of space because it allows us to do our thing. When a team sets up very defensive, structured, and stays in their positions and makes it hard to sort of create, we then struggle like absolute hell. Like we struggle to the point where we look like we don't know how to play football anymore. Who the fudge is Statman Dave, by the way? He's a United fan, but he's also this guy on X. He's very into statistics. He basically tweets out statistics, but not just on Manchester United. He does it for other players, teams, etc. Basically about football, but he is a United fan. And he always puts out tons of statistics. So, people that like statistics, they like him. I think he's all right. I think he's a fair level-headed guy, in my opinion. He's not somebody that's searched the match on Google for that. I mean, I do have something that I could. Xerxes looked out of it as a striker. I mean, yeah, he's clearly struggling. And he's gonna clearly need a lot more time if he's gonna potentially even become good. I mean, there's a possibility he could flop. There's a possibility he could, never really make it. It could have been a bad signing. Could have been the wrong signing. I think, I think for at least this season, for me, he kind of gets, again, it's a developmental year. I think, he wasn't even really ready per se in terms of ability to leave the likes of Bologna. I think in terms of development, he probably could have used another year at Bologna. But obviously that didn't happen, and now he's at Manchester United. I think it was probably a step too quick, and a step too high. And we're going to have to deal with that because we made the decision to buy him anyway. So, unfortunately, as much as people are going to get that on the back of Xerxes, that is a problem more necessarily from the club. They decided to take that chance. They decided to take that risk. They decided to go down that path and take somebody like that that clearly needs more time to and needs more work to develop his game in a lot of more different areas. So um apparently Ten Hag did ask for Amrabat to stay. So I don't know if it was a thing like we didn't have the available funds at the time and he just ended up deciding to go to because we did it to him the first time. Listen, so like I wouldn't blame Amrabat anyway because we did it to him the first time, right? He sat around and waited for us the entire summer so we could sign him on loan when he was supposed to come permanent. So he didn't even get his permanent move, which he kind of expected the whole first time. And then I assume this time they pretty much were like, if they weren't against him, or at least if Ten Hag wanted him, then I would assume that either the rest of them weren't sold on him, or they didn't have those funds at that time for him. So they might have told him, you got to wait for us. And he was basically like, fuck that. I'm not doing this again. I'm going to sit here and wait the whole season. Like, you either buy me or not. So, but yeah, I just want to see, if we get any more quotes and stuff like that. Onana was asked about West Ham. He said, we're going there to win. We're Manchester United and we have an obligation to win. We need points. We need to score. We need to win games. Well, I don't know, man. You got to tell that to the rest of your teammates or some shit because I just don't know where the disconnect is. I don't know if it's with the manager. I don't know, I don't know if it's the manager or the players or whoever. I don't know where the bigger disconnect is, but there's clearly something. There's a disconnect in what you're saying, Onana, and what's translating onto the pitch. So I don't know if it's the mentality of the players and they don't have that same mentality as you. And it's a shame because you're the goalkeeper and you can only do so much. I mean, you can't help us score. You could help us from stopping us concede goals, and we, that will help us to lead and to win matches and get points. But we need to score. We need to score. And you playing goal. So, yeah. I just don't know. Onana is saying we have to be more clinical. They have to be more dangerous. When players are free, we have to find them. It doesn't matter who scores. We want to see the ball in the back of the net. I mean, I don't know if Onana's gone on I don't know if Onana's gone on X before he's done this damn interview, but it's almost like he went on X, read a bunch of comments from people on X that are United fans, and he's basically just stolen that shit and given in his interview because I don't know, how many shows have we been saying this now? How many shows have we been saying the exact quotes? We have to be more clinical. We have to be more dangerous. When players are free, you have to give them the ball, and it doesn't matter who scores. We want to see the ball in the back of the net, and we want 3 points, and we want to win. So, interesting because Onana plays goalkeeper, so he can kind of see the whole play. He probably has the best view in terms of, the view on the pitch because he's all the way in the back and he can kind of see the whole layout of the team back there. And he's saying everything that we say. And we see it obviously from an aerial view if you're watching it on TV, especially. So, Axe saying Onana watches this stream. One day maybe they will. I mean, that would be cool if he was one of those guys that watches and he literally doesn't comment. Because we don't even have like that many, it's not like we have like a couple hundred people. Like, we have about like 10 to 15 anywhere on a good day. So imagine he was one of those people and he just doesn't say anything. He just watches the show. That would be hilarious. Lion saying it seems like United don't know how to play with what is that? With a number 9? Wingers aren't wingers. Midfield are just not creative enough. It would be lost amongst that. Onana the lurker of RDE, yeah. Yeah, I think part of that problem lines though is that it is kind of the ability of the players. I mean, we've talked about this, a couple different times. For example, like, we've talked about how the wingers aren't like sort of traditional wingers. They're more inside forwards. They like to cut inside. They like to have a shot. They look for the shot first, pass second. They don't, you know. Now I think they sort of improved a little bit in those areas, but naturally, from basically all of them, they're not that creative. They're not like per se, I would say, an Elise type of thing. And I think that's why Manchester United wanted to get him. And I think, you know, it was bad that we didn't get him because I think he would have offered something much, much better for us. Um, but yeah, it certainly seems like what we have, there is a dysfunction. There is a dysfunction. I think it's time to move him on. I was talking about if we had Kane, I would let Rash go if a decent offer comes in. Well, to be fair, you know, the job at hand for Ineos is to properly reconstruct this team into, you know, now I don't know because I think somebody needs to ask them, and I don't think they've actually really said it yet. But, you know, the game model that Jason Wilcox is supposed to be working on with the manager, I would like a good explanation or, you know, statement from Jason Wilcox on exactly what that game model is supposed to be so that we know exactly what we are trying to build towards, and what they are actually trying to, you know, what is the actual football that Ineos are trying to get to be played at Manchester United. Because number one, I can't tell you what it is, and number two, it would just help so that we know, you know, if they are building towards whatever they decide to build towards, we can accurately kind of judge if we are actually building towards that based on the players we are going to sign, or have signed, but more so the players that we would sign in the future. So, um, yeah. Was Bayern defeated by Barca 4-1? Yes, they were. The team set up is a mess. Well, we have there's a lot of different messes there. Ten Hag saying on Mazawari, it's been a long time since he was played in this position, but he's capable of it. We saw it today. He contributed to the goal. Well, Statman Dave said that he didn't contribute to the goal, so one of you is incorrect. He strengthened the midfield, helped the pressing. He did well, and I'm happy with his performance. I will say this. He did in an aspect because we sat back so much, because we played so defensively. I kind of got why he put him there because he was really just helping out defensively. But in terms of attacking, in terms of creating, in terms of actually doing what a 10 is actually supposed to do and not actually be part of, like, you know, not becoming a center defensive mid while without the ball, he did not affect that area in any way. Now, when we were without the ball, I think he helped in terms of holding down a position and doing whatever he had to do defensively. But with the ball in the opponent's half, he did not impact the game in any way. And then when he moved to left back, I mean, he just looked lost today. I think today you could say that Maz didn't have a good game. And number one, it was because he obviously wasn't being played in his position. But even when he moved to left back, he looked like, there was moments where he looked like Bambi in the opening scene. Not the opening scene. He looked like Bambi in that scene where, like, Bambi goes on ice and it's Bambi's legs gives out and just starts sliding across the ice. Like, he just looked wobbly today. I don't know what it was, but he just looked weird. And he had some very poor touches at, you know, when at left back. He had a couple poor decisions. He didn't look sharp. So and Hag saying it's hard to beat our team, but we have to take more chances. If you want to win more games, you have to score more. But I would ask you, Eric Ten Hag, how do you want the team to score more in the way we play? Like, somebody's got to ask him. Like, when he gives that answer, somebody's got to ask him the question of, but if you want the team to score more, so you win more games, because you obviously you want to win more games and you need to win more games, but how are you going to do that, Eric, when your team plays very slow, they don't play positive with the ball? They're constantly passing the ball backwards. They're constantly very slow in the build up. Like, how do you want us to take more chances? Like, why is that a reoccurring theme? Like, there's a problem, because there's a problem between what you're saying and what we see on the pitch, and what you're telling the players and what the players are doing on the pitch. Like, if that's genuine and he's saying we have to take more chances, well, then you're the fucking manager. Like, address it, because this isn't the first game. This isn't like, it's not like this is like, oh, we're in a bad five period game and we don't look ourselves. I don't understand that. So I don't understand that at all. You have a good night as well. We're gonna skip the player ratings today. I'm just gonna do like a quick version of it, because it is getting kind of late and I actually need to go as well. But just to that point, on that final point, like, like, this isn't the first time we've seen Manchester United play like this. There's clearly an issue. So, like, I don't understand how he's saying that, we have to take more chances, but we're playing in a way that is not very risky in any way. How do you expect us to take more chances when we're playing the safest football of all times, passing it sideways and backwards, and being slow and careful on the ball? That's what I'm confused about here. So, but for the player ratings, I'm pretty much just gonna, I mean, I'll just run through them all off the top of my head. Onana, I'll give Onana a 7.5. And I'm gonna give him man of the match right away. Because that double save was amazing. And I don't think there was much he could do about the goal conceded. That to me was more on Lindelof. And I think he did very, very good today. He had two very good saves the last match as well. He seems to be getting better and better as we play. So yeah, I give him man of the match right off the bat. Below, I mean, I wasn't even really paying too much to Delo, but 5.5. The Lit, I think the Lit did all right. I give him a 6. I think Martinez did all right. From what I was thinking from the first half, I can't think too much. I think he was average. Martinez, Lindelof, I give him a 5 because of that lapse in the goal, and not even attempting to go for the ball. So, yeah, you can't do that as a center back. And he got taken off clearly because he's not that good in the air compared to the other center backs. And they started targeting him. I will say that was a very good, and I'm surprised nobody's asked Jose Mourinho that, but it became very clearly evident as soon as the second half after the first goal that they were targeting, balls up high, especially directed right at Lindelof, and there was a reason for that, and we seen why. So yeah, for me, he gets a 5 for that, because I think he did all right, but that lapse in goal, you get a low score for that. Ugarte, I would give him a 7. I think Ugarte played very well today. Pitbull in the midfield did his job. Christian Eriksen, I'd give him probably it's hard for Eriksen because I think he did good, and a lot of the times he scored a goal, so it's like hard to give him a lowest score. There was periods where he wasn't so great or not so involved, but I don't think it was really too much on him. So I'll probably give him a 7. The Rashford not involved enough. He gets a 5. Garnacho, he wasn't involved at all. He probably gets a 5. I would give Xerxes probably like a 4. Because I don't think he was good at all. Am I forgetting anybody? Did I forget somebody? Oh, Mazawari. Yeah, for me, Maz, I give him like a 4.55. Like, he wasn't great either today. And albeit, it's not really his fault because he didn't play in his natural position, but even when he went to left back, he wasn't really that good. So, yeah, for me, more likely, I give the team rating as a whole. Manchester United squad performance, a 5. I give him a 5. And I give Andre Onana man of the match, for sure, for that double save, because I think he saved us in the game. 100%. But we're gonna end it. We're gonna end it here. Um, and we will go. What was today? Thursday, and then we play. Let me just pull this up so that I could tell you. We can plan accurately because I need to get that. So, what is going on here? So we are playing West Ham. It's going to be an early one. We are away. The 27th is what day? That's 3 days from now. So we're playing on Sunday. So, we will probably. We might do a show Saturday. I'll let you guys know. If not, I will obviously let you guys know. And then we will obviously be back for the Red Devil recap on Saturday. Early one on Sunday, sorry. We'll be back for the Red Devil recap on a Sunday. You know, either we do a show tomorrow or we do a show Saturday. I'll try and figure it out. I've been really busy. I've taken on a couple other things that I'm kind of working on and stuff like that. I want to get the Discord acts. I just got to find some time to really get this because I've kind of taken on a couple. I've kind of taken on a couple new things, and I'm kind of just all over the place. So I'm just trying to get a pattern, and sort of a routine, and I'm trying to get the hang of it. I'm trying to do a little bit of coding, teaching myself coding and stuff like that. It takes up a lot of time. And I'm doing a couple other things, and I'm trying to sort some stuff out, personally, in life. So I'm trying to find a balance. I'm not ignoring you or anything like that, or the Discord or whatever. I do want to get it in there. And I will get it at some point. It's a little bit hectic right now, so I just need to find some type of a balance to really sit down one day and just get it all sorted out. But we will get there for sure. So yeah, I'll let you guys know, but everybody have a good night because it is really late for you guys, and I don't want to keep you guys here. And I thank you guys for still being here for as late as it is. And I got some things I gotta go do as well. So be good. We'll speak very, very soon. And everybody stay safe, stay good, stay healthy. Thank you guys for all joining in here. Ray, Axe, Richard, it was good to have you back because we did miss you. I missed you, Richard. So Lyle was in here earlier. Grace stopped by. Lions, of course. And anybody else. Sandy was in here earlier as well. So shout out to all of you. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Have a good night. And we'll speak very, very soon. Take